Oh, here comes Jen. All right, you're not the only one. Good morning. We're going to start in a comfortable seated position. You'll want to adjust the sitting bones back on a diagonal to broaden that pelvic floor and neutralize it into that diamond shape that connects from the right and left sides from the sitting bones and then pubis to tailbone on the other side. Let the hips get heavy. Sometimes I like to take my hands there and just a little kinesthetic cue to kind of let the heads of the femurs sink down into the hips and allow the legs to be heavy. And then center the spine in between those points I was talking about. The pelvic floor is like it's like a trampoline, a diamond shape there at the bottom. And we want to center the spinal column between the sitting bones, between the pubis and the tailbone, front to back, and then just draw up nice and tall. So if we can align that, we can let the energy flow up with less effort, less gripping. Imagine the crown of the head is rising up gently as we do that. Soften the back of the neck. Make sure the heart is open, just gently rolling the upper part of the arm back, lengthening the tricep, and then finding a comfortable place to rest the hands. I'm gonna let the eyes close here. And just take a moment to move the mind's awareness to just become more aware of the quality of the mind. I don't want to try to control the mind. I want to notice the quality of my mind, the quality of the mental chatter or fluctuations that are happening. Because through becoming aware of that, I can then start to work with self-awareness toward a quieting. We don't want to force or push it. We're going to be gentle. So first, just watching how the mind wanders. How is the mind thinking? What is it preoccupied with? It's Gemini season, right? Geminis are curious. They want to know what's going on in the world. They want to hear your stories, tell their stories. This is the mind, it's mental energy. What is your mental energy right now? And then I'm going to ask the mind to focus on a deep breath, on just taking in a nice, deep, smooth inhale through the nose, pausing, and then exhaling through the nose. And I'll try it again. I'll ask the mind to focus on the breath. Bringing the breath into the body, the diaphragm engages. Perhaps I expand as I inhale. Breathing out, the shoulders soften, the hips soften down, my tongue softens and releases, and I just try to settle into my physical form. The mind might wander away occasionally. And what I want to do is just simply unhook from the thoughts one by one, kindly and gently, that the mind's preoccupied with, and then refocus the mind and ask it to deepen the breath. And we always do this with kindness, no judgment, no guilt, no shame. If the mind has wandered away, it happens. That's what the mind does. So really that compassionate self-awareness. Oh, the mind wandered away. Okay, I'm going to bring it back to the breath. I want to deepen the breath. So we're unhooking from thoughts and mental activity, and we're settling on the exhale, settling into the physical form. So we do want to hopefully get into a place where we're breathing rhythmically, diaphragmatically, that we're feeling an expansion when we inhale. And we're feeling a softening and a rooting as we exhale. And we'll always think about releasing the tongue away from the teeth. The tongue is a very Mercury mental thing, right? How we talk, how we communicate. So if we can relax the tongue, oftentimes that will help spread the relaxation down through the inner body. If you can relax the tongue, perhaps you'll also hear your breath a little more clearly. And that sound might help the mind to focus in and be more inward rather than searching outward. So I'm starting to feel more settled. The balance is coming into the breath, it's becoming rhythmic. That's going to be my anchor, right? Every time the mind wanders away, I bring it back to my breath. Say, I want to deepen the breath. Today, as we practice, we're going to focus on this area called the pericardium meridian. And it starts sort of at the outer chest, at the nipple line, right about here. And it loops up through that upper arm and comes down in the mound of the hand and all the way out through that middle finger. So I'm really trying to connect this point here, the heart, with the action of the hand. And I want you to just trace that line a couple times because we're going to keep coming back to this throughout our practice today. We're going to try to activate this line and really work to open up the sensations and the energy that can flow from the heart to the hands. So try it on the other side. Sometimes you might notice that you have a little sore point if you kind of dig in there. And that, if you can just, if you do have one, if you can just press gently, just enough to just kind of exhale and soften around it. And then anywhere that you might feel that's a little prick or a little sensation, that's a spot that you maybe want to bring a little more awareness to. So the pericardium meridian here, opening the heart, connecting it to the hands. Sometimes I like to flick if I've run across that energy line. Then if there was any stagnant energy or anything, I just kind of flick it off. So let's do that one more time on each side. We're going to keep coming back to this line today. Good. Breath still flowing. And we're going to come down onto our bellies and we're going to activate that line again. If you do have a block or a small pillow, you may want it for the neck in this position. What we'll be doing is resting on the belly. And I'm going to extend the hands out about at eye level. So they're a little in front of me. And I rest the forehead down. And then I'm thinking about this pericardium line, right? So on my left side, I'm going to use the right side of my body to traction that left arm into the floor and to get all those points, hopefully, to press down into the floor and be activated. So I'm extending that out and I'm thinking about that line I just traced. And then I'm going to turn my head to the side. So if the neck is real uncomfortable and you need a little elevation, this is where you can grab a block or a pillow. And what we're going to try to do here then is press into the right hand and bend the right knee. And I'm going to start to take that weight into that left arm and activate those points by pressing or tractioning them into the floor. So the more I press into the right hand, the more I revolve, bring this knee back, the more I feel that traction. So I want to think about that line I just traced. And I want to press each of those points into the floor fully. Smooth palm, wide fingertips, weight even across the wrists, the knuckles, the mound at the bottom of the hand. And my breath is flowing, right? I don't want to be stressed at the neck or the head. That's why I take some elevation if needed. I might extend out more through the straight leg on the floor. That might help me to create a little more energy along that line. And I'm going to take 3 more breath cycles here. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale and try to activate those points. Press down. Exhale and try to soften into the experience. One more breath. And then we're going to slowly roll back to center. We'll rest the forehead to the floor for a moment. Take both arms back out. Notice the difference energetically between those two sides. And then we're going to go to the other side. So I want that hand up at eye level. I want to spread the fingers wide, smooth the palm. Sometimes it's helpful if you kind of get this side to traction before you start to move over and roll over. So now my right arm is traction against the floor to activate those points. And I start to revolve. And maybe I'm not going to come all the way over. Maybe I'm not going to bend the knee. But I'm going to find what works for me, where I can feel that I am activating this line of energy. So if I'm in this position and I do want to increase it a little bit more, I will press down into the left hand, the left palm, kind of use that like a lever to increase the traction. Oh, I'm feeling it on this side a lot more than the other side. Gonna get with that breath, right? The mind may wander away if you're feeling uncomfortable, and just gently and kindly ask that mind to come back to a deep breath to help you, to bring grace to your experience here. One more breath cycle. And then I'm going to release, and I'm going to come back, rest the forehead to the floor. Take a belly breath here. Inhale deeply, diaphragmatically. Feel the belly expand. Move to the floor. Feel the side ribs expand. Exhale, soften the tongue. Soften the back body toward your mat. Soften the back of the neck. Good. Let's come into a tabletop position here. And we're going to continue to work that line, really focus on it. We're going to take fist under the shoulders and knees under the hips. I'm going to curl the toes for some stability. And we're going to bring the hand first to that line at the heart. And then we're going to extend and open up. I'm pressing down into the fist as much as I'm reaching up through that middle finger, that end point. And then I'm going to come back down. And I'm going to switch sides. Inhale, bring the hand to the beginning of the pericardium point, and then extend that line through the middle finger to the sky. Press down into the bottom fist and come back. So let's do 2 more cycles each side, and really take your time with this so that you're activating and feeling that line, that we can feel that we can really open and extend through the chest, through the hands. And if the mind wanders, we bring it back to a breath. So one more cycle. Open up, inhale, expand, exhale, release. Open up on the inhale, expand, exhale, release. Good. Let's come into a couple of cow cats. Spread the fingers wide now. Curl the toes. Inhale, the spine moves toward the front body. Back of the neck is soft, belly heavy. Release the tops of the feet. Exhale, pull the belly button up and in, arch into cat. Feel that tailbone point down. 2 more cycles. Inhale, curl the toes, cow. Exhale, release the tops of the feet, pull the belly up and in, cat. Inhale, curl the toes, belly heavy, spine toward the mat. Exhale, cat. Come back to a tabletop. Let's turn the hands. Again, we're going to open up those forearms. This will help with that line. So the wrists face forward, the fingers back. And we'll do one set of cow and cat here. Inhale, toes curled, cow. Spread that weight evenly across the knuckles, the fingers, the hand. Exhale, release the feet, belly button up and in, cat. And come back to our tabletop. All right. So with the hands right under the shoulders and the toes curled, let's do a little cross crawling action. Let's extend the right arm out, palm in line with the shoulder, head of the humerus hugged in. Let's take the left leg, extend it back in line with the hips. The hips in internal rotation, extending out through the inner edge of the heel behind you. And then release. Good, let's go to the other side. Stay in your center. Extend through the left arm, hug the head of the humerus in, reach through that middle finger, right? The pericardium line. And then extend back with the opposite leg. Hip and internal rotation, thigh drawing down under towards center. And then extending through the inner leg, the inner heel behind you. And release. Good, let's do that 2 more times each side. Really think about, again, activating this line, this pericardium line as we extend out. And then adding the opposite side of the body, creating some integration between the right and left sides. And release. Other way, left arm, pericardium lines activated. Right leg, full breath. And release. One more cycle. Right arm, activate the pericardium line. Left leg, draw the mind to the breath. And release. Left arm, activate the pericardium line. Right leg, draw the mind to the breath. And release. Beautiful. So hands stay planted. Let's start to wiggle those hips back. Keep the active line on that pericardium line. And let's come into that first down dog. Let's lift those sitting bones up, come up on our toes. Just let the spine get long, the head get heavy. Perhaps you want to bend the knees, work the chest toward the legs, get that arch in the foot with the toes curled into the mat like a cow position. And then you might want to straighten the legs. Bring the chin to sternum. Get that belly to pull up and in and start to lower the heels towards your mat and bring the head in alignment with the arms. Keep that pericardium line activated, heart to hands, inner world, outer world. How can we integrate the two? How can we integrate what we know and experience to be true in our heart and extend it out into the world? Bring the mind to the breath. And lower the knees. Keep the toes curled. And let's extend the palms out. Again, pericardium line, right? I'm going to release the forehead and take a breath here in Anahata, like a heart melting pose. So that pericardium line is really activated and strong, keeping my shoulder girdle stable. But I'm going to relax and melt the heart toward the mat on an exhale. And keep those toes curled and sitting bones broad. And then I'm going to release elbows into the mat. Bring the chest forward. And I'm going to come into my Sphinx pose with elbows under shoulders. Extending down from the tricep, the back of the arm, into the elbow. Extending into those pericardium meridian points as I press into the floor. Taps of my feet are pressing down really strongly. My sacrum's heavy. And I'm going to straighten the arms. And once again, activate the pericardium line. Connect the heart and the hands. Inhale, the spine moves forward. The heart is open. Exhale, draw your belly button toward your back. And release the heavy sacrum down like an anchor. And press into strong, active feet, strong, active legs. And one more breath here. Bring the mind to the breath. And then slow release. Stack your hands, rest your head. Find a moment to yourself. Breathe into the belly toward the floor, the side ribs expand. Bring breath to the back. Exhale, tongue heavy. Back body soft, melting. And when you're ready to transition, then we will once again plant the hands, extend back, and move into downward facing dog again. So again, if you need to play with that cow cat a little bit, feel free. Maybe you like to bend one knee towards center and kind of pedal the outer heel, the opposite outer heel toward the earth. To bring those hips into internal rotation, find some structure. Do whatever works for you. And then bring the mind, if it was wandering, to a deep, full breath. Activate the pericardium line. And we're going to try once again to activate in the right and left sides together to integrate. So I'm going to reach back with the right hand and grab the outer left calf. That belly's got to pull up and in to support that. And then I'm going to release. And then I'm going to take left arm, outer right calf. Take a breath here. And then release. The knees will come down and I will flow into Anahata. Anahata Asana, melt the heart. Strong active pericardium line. Exhale the heart toward the floor. Keep the sitting bones broad. And then release forward. Straightening the legs. Elbows under the shoulders. Sphinx. And then press into the hands. Straighten the line of the pericardium meridian. Activate it. Come up. That heart is open. Chest is broad. Sacrum's heavy. One more breath here. And slow release. Rest the head. Take a moment to yourself. Turn the attention inward. Breathe deeply and fully to the belly, to the side ribs, to the back. Melt any tension out as you exhale. We're going to go through that same series one more time. So moving to our down dog. Finding the optimal down dog for you. And it really helps me to activate that pericardium line and to press the floor away strongly with the whole hand so that the head of the humerus really grounds into the armpit feels hollow. It really helps to activate the belly, Uddiyana Bandha, to draw up and in. And then if you're feeling strong at that center with Uddiyana, then you can reach back more easily, right hand to left outer calf. Take a breath there. Both hands back to down dog. And then the other side. Integrating right and left dualities, bringing them together. Back to down dog. Lower the knees. Curl the toes. Walk the hands forward. Rest the forehead. Melt the heart. Release forward. Straighten the legs. Shoulders over the elbows. Sphinx. Press into the hands, especially the middle finger, the center of the mound. Activate that pericardium line. Feel as you press into your hands, you feel that energy come right up to the outer chest, right where we started tracing it. Find your breath, settle the mind on the breath, unhook from whatever other thoughts there might be, and bring your mind to the breath. Exhale and release. Again, taking a moment to just really settle into the physical form. Exhale yourself into the mat. Let go of gripping. Unhook the mind from any thoughts that are not the yoga practice or the breath. And then we'll head back to downward facing dog. One more time, planting those hands, extending those hips back. Finding your down dog, taking about 3 or 4 breath cycles here, just working your neutral. Chest and back equal, work of the arms and legs equal. Head in line with the arms, relaxed, heavy. And bring your feet close together at center and keep the hands rooted, the pericardium meridian line strong, and extend your right inner heel to the sky behind you. Press down into the hands, down into the opposite heel, as much as you're extending up through the lifted heel. And then keep control at your center, nice strong core, and step forward slowly. We're going to come into a low lunge. So I'm going to release the left knee and work the left foot back away from me here. And what I'm doing here is really lengthening the psoas muscle that connects the torso to the leg. So I'm kind of folding or melting over the front knee. And exhaling the tongue away from the teeth and just unhooking from any thoughts or judgments about how this might feel. And instead just opening up to embodying and being aware of the sensations and using the breath to find some grace in this moment. Okay, and then we're going to curl the back toes and extend through the heel to activate that leg and lift the knee. I'm going to press down really strongly into the left hand. And then we're going to activate this pericardium line again. You're going to get tired of hearing me say that word probably. But what I'm going to do is bring the hand to that point where it starts. Right? And I'm still really pressing through the back heel, strong active leg, still really pressing down into that hand. And then I'm going to extend up and through the middle finger, open that palm as wide as possible, connecting heart to hand, revolving, looking up, pressing down, extending through the back heel, and then bringing the mind to the breath. And I'm going to exhale and release. So my hands will frame the foot, and I will once again step back and take my downward facing dog. Let's take 3 to 5 breath cycles here. This is your neutral position. Find your neutral resting position. Optimize your alignment. Follow what works for you. Bring the feet together at center. Stay true to the hands, the pericardium line, the opposite heel, and extend the left heel to the sky this time. Open up, create some space. And then step forward slowly, keeping the core engaged and supportive. Toes near fingertips. Release the back knee. Slide the back foot away from you to take the weight out of the knee, or take some padding under the kneecap if needed. We're elongating the psoas. Connects the pelvis and hips to the leg. Connects to the diaphragm. Very important muscle, very deep. Folding forward, head heavy, but actively pressing into the back foot. Bring the mind to the breath. Deepen the breath to bring some grace to the moment, to the experience. Soften the tongue. And then we'll curl the back toes, extend strongly through the leg. That'll lift the knee. Press down really firmly into the right hand. Bring the left hand to where the pericardium meridian begins. Revolve, elbow to the sky, and then extend through the middle finger. Inhale and expand. Exhale, press down into that bottom hand. And release. The hands frame the foot. We step back. We take that down dog one more time. Find your neutral. Do you like to do cow and cat? Do you like to pedal the heels? Where do you feel like there's an imbalance? How could you start to use your self-awareness, the awareness of the mind, to bring balance to your pose rather than to be fluctuating with other thoughts? And then we're going to inhale, look in front of us, and we're going to walk the feet and hands together. And we're going to hang for 3 to 5 breath cycles. I'm going to bend the knees. I really want to deepen the groins, hold the elbows, and let the head be heavy. Let your back broaden. Let your sitting bones sink down. Breathe your belly to your thighs. Soften the tongue. Press into the inner ball mount, the outer ball mount, and the center of the heel. Activating the arch to lift, the legs to straighten, femurs moving into the hamstrings, the backs of the knees. Press down into your hands or tops of the feet or shins. Come into half uttanasana. Take a breath here. Broaden those sitting bones. Press into the feet. Feel the backs of the legs light up. And then we'll come up with arms wide through the strength of our legs and our core. Lift the heart and release. We're going to take mountain at the front edge of our mat now. And we're going to set those feet. Sorry, try to get the right angle there. I'm going to set those feet by rocking back and forth, forward and back a couple times. I just want to spread the weight equally and evenly across the ball mount of the foot and the heel. Generally, the inner edge of the ball of the foot, of the inner edge of the big toe, is going to be a little closer than the heel. You're going to try to fan the toes out, create some space, make a good strong root system. Get the inner arch to lift, support energy coming up through the legs. Neutralize any tilt to the pelvis. Think about the pelvic floor again and centering the spine between the sitting bones from right to left and the pubis and tailbone front to back. And just allowing the breath to flow up because we create that line and then the energy can just flow up. So like from here down, we root, activate strength. And from here up, a softness, a lightness, that open heart, that pericardium meridian. So as I open up here, then the arms extend down and that pointer finger's at my side, descending toward the ground. Heads in line over the spine. And let's bring right and left sides together. Right and left hands, right and left sides of the body, right and left sides of the brain. Integrate. Integrate the dualities. This is the highest ideal of the Gemini archetype, to go out to take in information and then to integrate it, to allow it to change our perception, to open our perception, get us out of our little boxes. But not to allow it to pull us in every direction and not know ourselves truly, right? It's about integration. Go out in the world, we have experiences, we bring them back, and we have to integrate them. This is yoga. Breathing in, breathing out. We integrate the inhale, the exhale. Inhale, we're reaching up. Feet stay planted. Inhale, reach back, lift that heart, lengthen that belly. Exhale into the hang. where we just were, knees bent, groins deep, breathing belly toward thighs, head heavy. And then extend the arms and sitting bones back and bring the chest forward. Find your center, right? Strong action through the pericardium line, reaching back. Squeeze the thighs towards center, like you're going to squeeze an invisible block between the knees. Pull the belly button to the spine, and then bring their arms in line with the ears. Your sitting bones descend, chest and back equal. Fire up the core and the legs. Breathe, bring the mind to the breath. Hands to hips, and let's extend back into warrior one. So I'm going to use the strength of that left hip and step my right hip back. And I do want to try to bring a line here, like from inner edge of right heel to inner edge of left heel, that I could draw a straight line between those two, and pulling into internal rotation with the left leg. Then I'm bending the front knee as I continue to move weight into the back heel, so my spine ends up centered. When I find the right placement for the foundation, for the feet, then I'm going to open the heart. So think about the pericardium line again. Starts here, right? Comes out through the middle finger. Heads of the humerus move back, sternum forward. Then reach up and maintain that pericardium line open and activate it. Find your breath. Settle the mind on the breath. Settle the mind on the alignment. What could you strengthen to support you? What could you release to support you, to find grace? One more breath here in our warrior one. Then bring the hands to the hips and straighten the front leg. Step in just a bit, but keep that line from inner heel to inner heel. Strong internal rotation. Anchor the femur into the back of the hamstring, into the back heel. Hands to sacrum. And extend forward into Parsvottanasana. So I'm keeping that pericardium line activated with my hands smooth and open, palms up at the sacrum. I'm extending through the crown of the head away from the sitting bones. I'm feeling a lot of energy coming up through the back of the front leg. One more breath here. And come up slowly with the chest. Good. All right. So now I'm going to bring the back foot forward and up. And we're going to come into eagle's pose here. So if you have trouble with Garudasana or eagle's pose, you could take that block and you could bring your foot under the block to start with. And what I'm going to do then is cross that leg over and to really get a strong internal rotation of the legs. So again, I might move that block to this side, sorry, so you can see that modification. If I'm having trouble with the balance, right, I can bring that foot there and deepen into this a little bit more, feel a little more secure with it. Good. And then we've got to work the arms. So again, that's that right-left duality that we want to integrate. So I'm here with the foot poised on the block. You take the right arm out, bend at the elbow, bring the left hand around and under, and then try to bring the palms together. Lift the elbows to shoulder height, broaden the back, pull the belly button to the spine, breathe. Feel the right and left sides come together, integrate at center, move the mind to the breath. Beautiful. Let's unwrap and release. Ah. Good job. Let's come back into our mountain and we'll go through that series on the other side. So just take a moment to address the upper body weight. Moving into the feet and the root system in a balanced, equal way. Activate the pericardium line. Middle finger extending down. Facing the sides of the body. Turn the mind to the breath. Bring the right and left sides together. Press the middle fingers together really strongly. See if you can feel that pericardium meridian light up. Feel it open your chest more. Pull your shoulder blades together and down your back more. Elbows broad. Really pressing the hands together. And then inhale, take it up. Stay true to your roots, but lengthen the belly, lift the heart. Exhale into our hang. Bent knees, broad back. Breathe belly to thighs. Head heavy. All right, then the arms extend back through that pericardium meridian. The sitting bones extend back. The sternum's coming forward. Pull the belly button to the back. Powerful pose. Release the sitting bones down. Hug the head of the humerus in. Use the core. Fire up the legs, the quads. Keep the mind to the breath. And then hands to hips. I'm driving back with the strength of the right hip into warrior one. Finding that line from inner edge of heel to inner edge of heel. Working a strong internal rotation of the thigh muscle here. Pressing the femur to the rear of the hip into the hamstring, anchoring the back heel down while I bend the front knee. Pericardium line, open the heart, reach to the sky. Find your breath. When you focus on the breath and you bring your awareness to this self, to the internal universe in this pose, what do you see that you need? Where do you see you could strengthen? What do you see that you could let go of? Hands to hips, straighten the front leg. Take one step in, shorten that stance a little bit, but keep the line from inner edge of heel to inner edge of heel. Hands come to the sacrum. Palms up, hands smooth and broad. Strong internal rotation of that back leg. Anchor into the back leg. But extend through the spine and the crown of the head. Find the breath. Inhale and come up. Good. I want to bring that back foot forward and up. Cross it over into my Garudasana. So if I want to have that block there to support that foot and help me deepen and bring right and left sides together more, feel free. Okay, left arm goes out straight this time, extends through the pericardium line. Right hand comes around, wrap at elbows. Bring the palms together, integrate the duality. Find your focus point. And do not let the mind fluctuate away from the breath or the focus point. That's when we lose the pose. So hold the mind steady, anchor it. Beautiful. And exhale, release. Shake out any tension. Let's move to the center of our mat now. I'm going to go this way. I'm the yoga teacher, sound person, and camera person, so bear with me. All right, center of your mat in mountain pose. Take a moment. Settle the weight of the upper body equally into the feet, balls and heels, inner and outer edges. Fan the toes. Activate strong support through the legs. Neutralize any tilt to the pelvis. Pericardium line. Crown of head rising up. Find your breath. Good. All right. So hopefully the mind has settled, the body is settled. Breath is smooth and even. We're going to step out not as wide as we would when we're going into triangle or warrior two under the wrist. A smaller stance, about 2.5, 3 feet probably. And we're going to work an archer pose. So I'm going to bring both hands to that beginning pericardium point, elbows out wide. And then I'm going to windshield wiper the feet to the right. So I have a line from the center of the right heel through the center of the left arch. And I'm going to open up, turn my gaze, and move through that pericardium line. Take a breath here. Pull this elbow back actively. And then come back to center. Turn the foot back to center. And then I'm going to go the other way. Opening up. Pulling back with the elbow. Broad, smooth hand. Reach to that middle finger from the pericardium starting point at the heart. And come back to center. So let's do 2 more cycles each side. So really trying to move at your own pace and feel into it. Heart open, heart connected to hands. Integrate, breathe. Inhale to expand. Exhale to be true to your roots, true to yourself. One more time, each side. Keep that pericardium line strong. Back to center. Release the arms. That probably feels good. So just shake that loose a little bit. Relax through the shoulder, the arms, the hands. Flick out any of that. If there's any tension energy, release it. Okay, and we'll come back to mountain for a breath. And then we're going to come into that same width stance, but turn the toes out slightly, and then descend the sitting bones and move into goddess pose here. So I want to let this inner thigh lengthen, come around the knee, and sink my sitting bones down right underneath me. My knees are going to cover my feet from my view. I'm going to activate the pericardium line, cactus arms. Smile and breathe. And then we're going to press into the feet, straighten and come up. Exhale, cactus arms, pericardium line, descend the sitting bones, smile. And straighten and come up. One more time. Smile, breathe, straighten. Beautiful. Let's take the feet out wider to warrior two. Feet underneath the wrists. Open from the right hip. Pivot. About half that on the back foot. Bend the front knee to warrior two. So I'm going to keep weight in the pinky toe side of this back foot. Get those sitting bones to descend underneath me again. So I'm really broad here. And I'm going to open up those arms to warrior two. I want to make sure they're level, in line with the collarbones. We're reaching through them strongly to open the chest. I'm going to take a breath here. And get that knee in alignment with the ankle. Don't let it turn in or come in. Keep working it. Then let's come up with the arms. And then let's cross right hand to left shoulder blade and left hand to right shoulder blade. Take a breath here. Open that chest. And then let's extend over side angle. We could bend the elbow and revolve. We could take the hand lower to a block. Keep that back foot grounded. Extend through this line, open the side. Revolve the rib cage to the ceiling. Breathe. And back to warrior two. Release the bend in the knee. Beautiful work. Feet back to center. And we're going to switch the feet, go the other way. Open up from the right or the left hip. Back right foot comes in about 45 degrees. Keep weight and anchoring in the pinky toe side of that foot. As you bend the knee, lengthen the inner thigh, hold the knee in alignment with the ankle, sink the sitting bones underneath you. Nice and broad here, open up. Reach through the arms, open the chest, activate the pericardium line. Arms up, cross. Breathe into that chest. Extend over. We can go elbow bent to thigh, or we can take it lower. Depends on our bodies, our experiences. That's why we have to have self-awareness. That's why we have to integrate the information, the guide that I give you into your authentic self. Find what's right for you. Back to warrior two. And straighten. That feels good to straighten. Heel toe to get those feet back under you. Find stability, shake it out. And come back to mountain for a breath. Pericardium line. If the mind has wandered away, and it will, ask it to come back to the breath. Ask it to come back to the body. Unhook from fluctuations, from thoughts of the external world. And exhale into embodying your internal universe, your physical world, your physical form. You right here, right now, strongly rooted through the lower body, but light and open through the upper body. Bring the right and left sides together. Press the middle finger pad point there together strongly. Activate the pericardium line. Integrate. 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 Beautiful. Let's come down onto the mat. We will take our boat pose here. Fire up that core one last time before we back bend so that we make sure we're using the core to support us in our back bend. So I'm going to start with the hands behind me, the knees bent. Then I'm going to bring the toes up at eye level. I'm going to start with holding. I can always go back to holding the legs if I'm starting to struggle or really have a hard time and it's tensing my neck or shoulders, and I'll want to come back to this. All right, what I'm going to want to do here is I'm going to want to extend the heels and legs as I pull the belly button back. Move the spine toward the chest. Look up at the toes adoringly and activate the pericardium line and reach through that middle finger, heart to hands. Belly button to spine, mind on the breath. Take your break. Relax the back broad. Drape yourself over your legs. Awareness turns inward. I integrate the external stimuli from the boat experience into my internal universe by calming the breath. Relaxing the muscles that we're gripping and unhooking the mind from any judgmental thoughts, returning the mind's focus to my breath. And inhale and come up. We're going to bring the feet back behind us. We're going to come into Ustrasana or camel's pose today. So if it hurts your knees or shins to be in this position here, then you might take a folded blanket right under the legs. The other modification that I'm going to use today is if you have a pillow or a bolster or a couple blocks that you could put on your feet, I'm going to place those at the heels. So this is going to take less pressure out of my low back. So if you feel pinching or trouble in your low back as you come into a camel's pose, having this elevation is going to help you to move the hips forward and get work into the upper thoracic spine more than straining the low back. So the first thing I like to do is smooth the skin of the shins back, press the hips forward, make sure that I'm not feeling tension or weight on the kneecap in an uncomfortable way. Camel pose is a back bend. It's going to open the whole front of the body. So from the thighs all the way up through the torso and the front of the neck and throat. So we'll always be trying to look up. Okay, so I'm taking the hands, pericardium line, pressing the hips forward, lifting the sternum, squeezing the elbows together, and then releasing the hands to the heels or to a bolster or a block. Or you can keep the hands here and continue to work this. So find the option that works for you. Sternum lifts toward the ceiling. Hips forward, but thighs pressing back to bring the stability to the legs. Core supporting us, no strain in the low back. Front of the neck is open. One more breath. And inhale, come up, exhale, release. Let's take it right to child's pose. That's going to feel nice after the back bend. Settle the hips onto the heels, rest the forehead to the floor or to a bolster or block if that's more comfortable for you. Return your focus to the breath. Unhook from any judgmental thoughts, any external awareness thoughts. Settle into your physical being, your physical experience of right now, and let the breath bring grace to this moment. Soften the tongue away from the teeth. Let the inner body open and relax. So you could stay in child's pose, or if you'd like to take this upper back stretch a little deeper, you could grab hold of the heels with the hands. Fingers at the inner ankle, thumbs around the outer heel toward the ankle. And I'm going to lift the hips and keeping hold of the heels, try to bring weight toward the crown of my head. This is going to stretch the upper back. And I'm going to breathe. And I'm going to exhale the hips back down. Release the forehead to the floor or a comfortable position on a block or a pillow. And return the mind to deepening the breath. When the mind is lower than the heart, it's naturally quieter. This is usually a good thing. Yoga is about the cessation of the fluctuations of the mind, after all. If your mind is busy, lowering the head below the heart can be very helpful, right? Let the heart be in charge a little bit. I'm going to breathe in, and my belly is going to press toward my thighs, and the side ribs will expand, and breath will come to my low back. I'm going to breathe out, let my back broaden, let my hips get heavy and settle down more deeply into my heels. And I'm going to roll up slow and easy. So we are getting ready to wind down and move into our Shavasana. If you would like to take down dog or child's pose or any other pose, maybe a hip opener, take a minute or two to do that. I think I'm just going to take down dog one more time as I'm preparing, but this is a moment definitely when you should be listening to your self-awareness and thinking about what your body is calling out for. Would feel good to your body, help you round out your practice and prepare for a nice, deep, restorative Shavasana. I'm going to work a little bit of a hip opening after my down dog. So let's say we're going to start Shavasana in about 90 seconds. We'll give it about another minute and a half. So winding down, transitioning out of whatever finishing up poses you might have been doing. We will come to be reclined on the back. If you did have a bolster or a blanket and you wanted to prop the knees, bring some ease to the low back, feel free to do any sort of propping that might make you feel more comfortable. I really like to take the bolster under the knees, rest the heels on the floor, and then lay back. It just helps me to really bring some ease to the low back and broaden the sacrum. And in this position, with the knees slightly higher than the hips, we can feel the heads of the femurs will slide back and deepen into the hip socket where they belong. So we'll just kind of feel grounded and safe there. And it usually brings some ease to the low back too. And if you don't have a bolster, you could roll a blanket or another yoga mat to place under there if you wanted to experiment with that. Or you can just take the legs straight out too into the traditional corpse pose. As I come onto my back, I am going to activate that pericardium line one more time and just think about all the work we've done with that, right? Just from this point, moving out through the arms, I'm just going to press down with the palms of the hands. I'm really going to press from that pericardium starting point at the outer nipple chest into the mound of the hand, the center of the mound of the hand, and into the pointer finger. I'm sorry, the middle finger, it's not the pointer finger. getting close to Shavasana, and I'm losing my train of thought there a little bit. And then I'll relax and move the hands and arms where I'd like them. So just that memory of opening the heart by activating the pericardium line, and then maybe rolling the arms under, lengthening the tricep, wiggling or grounding a little bit, and then letting the hands open and soften. Fingers curl, palms smooth and soft, sacrum, shoulder blades heavy and smooth against your mat. Base of the skull, head heavy. Mm. Give yourself a nice long exhale. Sometimes sound therapy helps, right? Like let whatever might be holding you back or bothering you, like just let it out with a sound on your exhale. Then your next inhale might deepen a little bit and expand and move through you. And then your next exhale, really allow your eyes to sink deeply into your sockets. If we can move the eyes away from the face, we can move the eyes away from the outer world, the outer universe, then we can start to turn our awareness more fully inward, right? And that's what we're hoping to do with yoga, to integrate. We could do the same by releasing the tongue away from the teeth, letting the tongue come more deeply into the body, back toward the throat. And the tongue, being a very Mercury or mental um, part, we can soften it, relax it, then we can often get a deep surrender through the entire inner visceral body. And if I feel my tongue release and relax and I feel my throat open, then I'm going to hear my breath a little more clearly as it's moving through the spaciousness that was created between the ears, nose, and throat. And it's unobstructed, it's free, it's victorious. This is called Ujjayi breath. Unobstructed. And really, essentially, that's what we've been trying to do. Just not do or be anything different than what we are, but simply remove the obstructions that have been created, the barriers that stand in our way of our true, authentic nature, which is joy and bliss. So let that tongue release and remove the obstructions and settle yourself deeply within the throat, connected to the solar plexus physically, right? Because we chew and swallow food. Allow yourself to travel along that line energetically and release into this place of safety and sanctuary at the solar plexus. And for the next few moments, just stay in that place. Just allow yourself to be. Nothing to do, nowhere to go, nothing to be or achieve. Let your next breath deepen, moving the mind a little more consciously to deepening that breath. And letting that energy ripple out from the center, from the solar plexus, from deep within where we've been residing, and moving the energy slowly back out through the limbs, through the fingertips, through the feet, the ankles, the toes. Perhaps stretching gently. Taking your time with it, no rush. Rolling onto your side for a moment before you come all the way up. Just allowing the restorative, the calming Shavasana to really integrate into the body fully so that we can carry it with us as we leave our mat. Just kind of drinking it in. Don't let the mind rush ahead of the moment. And then use the strength of the arms and pressing into the hands, coming up. Finding a comfortable seated position. We'll close class together here. It's been wonderful to practice with you today. Settle the spine at center. Exhale into heavy hips and legs. Feel how the heart is connected to the hands. Inhale and reach up with me for hope, grace, and contentment. Pause here. Activate that pericardium line one more time. That first part kind of hugs the head of the humerus in, right? And opens the chest and hollows out the armpit. And then it flows through the inner arm, through the ball mount, the mound at the hand, to the middle finger. Just connects us, connects us. And then bring the right and left sides together. Integrate the dualities. Press the middle finger point together strongly. With the head rest heavy, chin towards sternum. So head and heart become equal here. Take one last breath, letting the heart lift as we inhale. Letting the head bow heavy as we exhale. Feeling the integration of the head, the heart, of the right and left sides, of the inhale, the exhale. My friends, it is a great honor and pleasure to share your practice with you. Namaste. Bye. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thanks.